Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Fanvil. Today's host is Tommy Lee, and he is their Vice President of Sales here in North America, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Tommy will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Tommy, thank you so much for being with us today. We're so happy to have you. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Thank you, Julie. I appreciate the great introduction. In addition to myself, not on this webinar, but as a resource for many of the partners out there, we also have an SE from Fanvil as well, who's based on the East Coast as well. So not only do you have me as a reference, but there's also an absolute technical contact, because I understand that very often we introduce these products and some of the people are total veterans and know it, but there are a lot of newcomers who come here and they don't necessarily know these solutions, and we have an SE here that can kind of bridge the gap on some of the technical challenges that some of them may end up facing. So what I'm going to do today is really just kick back and I'm going to provide an overview of one of our core products, our new V as well as the XU series IP phones, coupled with our access control and intercoms. You know, that's something we've been introducing and selling for a while, but what makes this webinar a little bit new is that we're going to introduce some of the new products that we're actually rolling out, and this will kind of give you a heads up on some of the diversity that we're going to end up bringing, so that the idea is that it just brings you a lot of choices in the type of things that you could bring to the marketplace. Okay, so with that said, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and just go through the agenda pretty quickly. As Julie mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to put those questions in the question box. We'll be more than happy to go over it. I'm going to go through the product line and end with a roadmap and actually some toolboxes. And some of the toolboxes I'm going to go through the latter part is to actually go over just some of the promotions that we have, in addition to programs that we have to allow you to really test drive our products at a really what we call an NFR cost, or a test drive cost, giving you really the lowest risk possibility in being able to take our solutions out for a drive to see if it fits your projects. With that said, I always like to introduce this slide as a slide. Many people may not have heard of Fanvil in the past. I mean, Fanvil is a very large provider of SIP products, and all the products that you see in the bottom here, whether it's the IP phones or whether it's the SIP door access products, the intercoms, as well as the access units. The one commonality about all of these devices is that they are all SIP endpoints. You know, some may ask, what is SIP? It's just, you know, it's just a session ignition protocol where it really becomes a standard by which many of these products will fit into many of the SIP-based PBXs, which is really the outgrowth of a lot of the updated communication systems that are rolling out to businesses and even a lot of personal and residential uses throughout the globe. So having said that, those switches now have changed into a new SIP protocol, and we manufacture all the endpoints that really fit into the piece where that SIP technology touches the human, the person that's using the system. Coupling all that, we also have up here, which I'm circling with the laser pointer, is the device management system. We also offer for free of charge to all of our partners the capability of offering you the ability to remotely control all of these endpoints around. So that's a really great differentiator for us in being able to provide that. Now, you know, you may say there's a lot of different providers of phones as well as access points. What makes us a little bit different? And that's what I'm going to try and get, you know, access to moving forward. Let's just start off with the phones. For the most part, we just introduced the V series phones over the last several months, and this is going to couple with the X and XU series. This is really our main core of what we call our business phones. What makes the difference between the V series and the XU series is that with the V series, we actually included Wi-Fi in nearly all of the brands. Basically, all of the top three have Wi-Fi as well as Bluetooth coupled inside these phones as well. And in addition to that, on these top two models here, we also have the ability to incorporate one-way video. And actually our V67 is our Android phone, which has two-way, but in most part, it has the capability of displaying video. And I'm going to explain the reason why this one-way video capability is also important. Now, in addition to that, these products have really an updated design, which really matches a lot of the new designs that are coming forth. But there's a huge faction of people that are upgrading legacy systems, which love our X and XU series. Why? It's because really these series were designed, if you look at the X6U, with the BLF keys that are designed in the lower right-hand corner that goes up and down, and it gives users the real capability of accessing all of the different BLF as well as the speed dial keys that they're used to. What makes Fanvil a little bit different is that we also have keys on the left side of the display, because in addition to the BLF keys, you also have to manage your SIP accounts, your call parking, all of those different what we call phone functions that are separate from the BLFs, because in many times when you're with other designs, what you end up having is the more SIP accounts that you put in, the less BLF keys that you have. And by the time you fill up the phone, guess what? You don't have any front-facing BLF keys for people to use. And then we actually do that. But not only do we do that here, but we also provide 3 separate windows on our different keys, giving you full access to that. Now, coupling that, we also have an H series, which we also, besides business, we develop a line that's specifically for hospitality. And I'll get into a little bit of why we actually have these hospitality phones and how we differentiate. All of these phones contain internal Wi-Fi that's incorporated into them, because very often you upgrade these hotel systems and they may not want to upgrade their cable. If they do, great, we got phones that fit that. But this is just a short clip of the different solutions that we have. Now let's focusing a little bit about the V series phones and a little bit up close. The V67 boils out to be our Android series, which would come out with Android 9.0. Unfortunately, ours, as well as many other Android phones, you can't necessarily upgrade these phones like you would a mobile phone, so that the version that you come out with is really the latest and greatest version. And the good news, when you start up with our V67, it's going to have the latest and greatest. And the good news is that with the 65 and 67, we're going to actually have a tilt screen capability to sort of angle out many of the different displays if you have ways that you want to do that, coupled with a lot of buttons. Now, the V65 to 62 is really what we call our Linux-based or dedicated IP phone. These are not Android-based phones, but it starts with really what we call our basic phone, the 62, what we call our workhorse phone, the 64, and then really something that really is the top end that increases display size and a lot more buttons with the V65. 2 of these here really support all of the high-end integration of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, whereas the V62 here is really what we call the basic phone. Every business has those phones that are just used for SIP, and that we try to scale our solution so that it actually fits in each of the application without having to burden your client of having to spend an extra $1 until they actually, until they have to do so. This is just a spreadsheet that outlines the displays and how we differentiate. I will not go over the screen, but you can find you could send me an email or send Julie an email about, to get a soft copy of this presentation. But what these stars represent is where really these particular models uptick against our competition for the particular tier that they're competing against. So with all that said, this is based on your reference. I'm not going to go over each and all of these, but one of the things that I will mention is that, quite frankly, they're all GigE. They all support the latest high definition codec. They're all PoE, and quite honestly, even though on the lowest end here, I want to point out the fact that it could still support a high level of conference calls all in one thing. In fact, when you look at audio conference, even the low end, you can support up to 6 conferences asynchronously on the absolute phone. And as you go up in models, you'll find things that the feature set is far higher in terms of capability. Now let's talk about the XU series phones. And in the XU series phones, we have a very similar situation. All of these are Linux-based models, starting off with our basic X3U lines. And as you graduate up, you'll end up finding that not only do the displays and the number of buttons increase, but in our flagship, the X6U, you end up having dual windows with 3 separate windows here. And the great news about this is that we also include an H.264 video codec. Why is that important? Because if you notice in our first slide, we have access control and intercoms with cameras that can actually stream up and actually show the displays on these actual phones. And you can control which camera you want to control while seeing the video here, while being able to issue keys to allow you to open gates, open doors, and allow people to go inside as well. Whereas the others are a little bit more basic in function. Now, the X5U and the X6U contain internal Bluetooth, but one of the things that we stepped up with the V series, that not only do they have Bluetooth, but we also have Bluetooth as well as Wi-Fi with those phones. But to supplement V series, we also have a Wi-Fi dongle that you could also couple with this as well. Another very unique idea about the XU series is that you could also do what I would call the definition of different SIP accounts and BLF, which I talked about before, but we also call custom branding. This is a very interesting feature. Now, for those who actually ship a good amount of these phones, instead of having Fanvil as the absolute brand that goes out, you can actually use your brand to actually couple this Fanvil phone so that you can pump out a phone that has you, and that's available on all of our XU series phones. Another differentiator is that all of our phones support a 2-year warranty. This goes across the XU as well as the V series as well. All of these could support the remote management system as well moving forward, as I mentioned very early on. Talking about the custom series, all we require is really a 200 unit order of what we call our neutral phones. And when you order our neutral phones, what we end up doing is providing you a generic display here with a blank here. And what ends up happening is when you get the phone, you'll be able to substitute a banner that actually has your logo and not necessarily the Fanvil nameplate that you can go out and push out through your customers so that your customers see your logo versus ours. We can even go further and actually putting in a generic packaging as well as internal things. I can go and have a whole session to talk about this, but I just wanted to let you know that this capability exists amongst the XU. Most of the custom branding logos really involve like up to 500 units as a minimum. This is just a custom branding process where we actually do it. You could just basically hand over our logo to us, and it takes about 2-week turnaround for us to turn that around, and either you or our partner would be able to go ahead and install that on the phone. So again, that's something that we can do. Now, one of the very unique things about Fanvil phones is that Fanvil phones do not have extender modules. What we've decided to do is that, let's face it, when you buy an extender module, 9.5 out of 10 times it's going for somebody in the front desk or in the control center. So what we decided to do is really offer a centralized phone that provides everything under one board. Why is this really important? Because with the same real estate, you can actually have 2 extender boards that's coupled onto one board, and you no longer have to buy a high-end phone while connecting the cable with the extender board, having to deal with uploading 2 firmware modules. Then you got to worry about compatibility, updating one or the other. This is one dedicated phone that does that, and we also have an A32, which also provides a touchscreen. This is a little bit more popular because many people out there love a button version, and this gives you over 160 SS keys that gives you access so that you can not only control with video access, but you can control buttons, speed dials, BLFs, and many other features all on one dedicated phone. So that's a really unique feature that we came out with, and we also have a touchscreen version of this as well. Now let's move on to some of our, what we call our broadcast systems. This is a very popular unit of us, and this is what we really call delivering our SIP core. So any device, whether it's PAs being driven by amplifiers, when you upgrade up to SIP, you're going to encounter situations where how do you go ahead and communicate to elevators, PA systems, and all that under a SIP environment? You can use this gateway to really go ahead and talk to any of the old analog or the former proprietary system to make them to SIP. I don't want to get into details about this, but I'll be more than happy to entertain a deeper dive webinar with each partner that gives me a call, and I can go ahead and run deep into it. The idea here is that these solutions that exist out there, and you can go ahead and interface these with amplifiers, IR sensors, help desk, and you can actually has relays so that you can open and close relays, setting off alarms for factory phones, etc. So there's a lot of function that's incorporated on this generic environment, and we have 2 different flavors that take care of that. Now let's go into some of our hospitality series. In our hospitality series a little bit, we have both black and white phones. Where do we differentiate? We're the ones that actually came out with a soft phone. I'm sure many people that we're speaking to have stayed in hotel rooms. And when you go there, we actually have the standard white and black faceplate. This is great in terms of being able to offer a phone that's customized to the hospital, not the hospital, but the hospitality situation, and showing their hotel, their logo, and the different functionalities. But wouldn't it be great? This has its limitations, because what if their phone breaks down? You want to deliver 2 or 3 more units. Guess what? Now you're stuck, because you have to go ahead and develop a brand new custom faceplate, which again takes weeks and times to go ahead and do it. The interesting thing about the black and white version here is that we offer a soft display so that you can just upload the bitmap image that will fit for whatever customer that you've deployed to before, and you can also configure all of these keys to fit your thing. So we have a generic platform so that you could just go ahead and provide a standard white or black H5 and be able to send that in. And we also have a couple of narrowband phones here, which are just standard 2 SIP line phones that could either fit hospitality or any other business line that you may want to do moving forward. But this is targeted for like bathroom applications and things like that to give you that capability moving forward. Moving beyond that, we also have door access system. This is where I begin to start talking about some of our new products. These are in production today, which is our i61 through 64. And these is a brand new generation that's supplementing many of the existing i3 series that we have here. The real idea here is, depending on what application you're looking for, we have a different keyboard from 1 to a whole keyboard application, giving you the flexibility, as well as many of the different physical features that give you the level of durability, whether you're deploying this in an outdoor parking lot subjected to rain, sleet, and snow, or you can have it in an indoor lobby. Either way, we can have a solution that will basically fit your needs moving forward. It fits on all the different video monitoring, multiple protections, and all of the rugged access that you would find in putting these outside in the buildings. Beyond the access control, we also have SIP intercom. These are real basic features that really provide 1 or perhaps even 2 button access, but most of the case, it's a 1 button access with and without video in both indoor applications as well as outdoor applications that really provide quick access. Again, these are all SIP endpoints that you can go ahead and choose that'll fit into it. I could send you a brochure that will show dozens of these type of solutions. Again, this is just a quick snapshot of some of the different solutions that we have moving forward. Now, beyond outdoor and indoor control, we also have things like residences on the indoor stations. We find that people that incorporate those units will also have a need to fit indoors. And we've developed a nice indoor station, which provides a quick flat screen display that provides a visual on who's actually outside in the gate or in the lobby, and without really taking up a lot of real estate. This actually mounts on the wall, but you also have desk mount units as well, so that you can actually see this on the desk, and we have Wi-Fi incorporated, and this looks a lot better on a residential wall than it does internally within having a phone hanging there under today's decision. Beyond that, we have several different flavors in the white, but again, the introduction of some of the new phones, we actually are deploying some of the new Android systems. This is the new i55A as well as the i57A. Some of the differences here is that some actually have a pure menu-driven icon here, while the i55 has a couple of buttons here that will enable the end user to be able to push specific buttons and run their interface or their Android button as well. We got 3 separate models of Android, but these are the new buttons that are coming down. And some of these are our touch screen and our flat screen that provide a very simple interface that have just button screen. The great idea here is that Wi-Fi is also integrated to all of these units, which really provide a great indoor scene about how you want to go ahead and take a look at this. The applications of these indoor stations are very, very wide. This could be this could serve as a 2-SIP phone, line phone, or it could serve as a station to announce alarms or be able to drive a menu depending on what you want to do, or to welcome people into your building, etc., or in the outside, seeing what people can have. Again, why are we so popular in many cases offering the solutions? Again, we don't have a PBX that we provide to it, and that all we do is endpoints, but we go way out of our way to be able to be compatible with many of the strong PBX providers, whether it's in the cloud or whether it's on-prem, coupled with our own endpoint management system to manage this whole system moving forward. Now I talked about a roadmap, and I want to advise everybody that we're just beginning to roll out and making these samples ready. Probably in the September timeframe, we'll have these samples. I know I actually issued samples. Some of our close partners may already have samples already, but in reality, it'll be actually consumer ready with those samples coming in next month. And this is just a Wi-Fi phone that we're coming out with. So we come out with a narrowband phone. Many of our partners come to us and says, do you have a Wi-Fi phone? Sure, we also have plans of maybe introducing a DEC phone later on, but we decided to come out with a Wi-Fi phone, which is something that we have, and this can connect you with a Wi-Fi access point wherever you are, so that you can gain access to wherever the Wi-Fi is, wherever you have a Wi-Fi. Again, I'm not going to go over all of the different features here for the sake of capability and the variety of solutions that we're providing you, but it gives you really a 2-SIP line access and gives you quick access to really interface with existing Wi-Fi 2.4, 5, or Wi-Fi 6, and being able to provide all of these capabilities to you so that you have a mobile application versus having just Wi-Fi as well. Beyond just the Wi-Fi phone, we also are introducing something a little bit different. This is an accessory that we have, which is CS30 speakerphone. This speakerphone now can be connected via a USB interface, while at the same time be connected to Bluetooth, because when you think about it, many people go ahead and hold conference units on their laptop, but very often their laptop computer isn't necessarily equipped with a microphone system that can accommodate a small round table that accommodates 4 or 5 people. And what you can do with this, which has been optimized for voice, is to really connect it with Bluetooth or your USB cable that we also provide, that gives you that ability to interface with the public through a wide angle of microphones, because very often people sit on a round table all on one side to be on the side of the microphone. With this case, you could put it right in the center of the table and have wide access, and it's really been optimized for voice to giving you clear mini conference phone capability throughout the thing. And this is going to be, we already have samples ready in July, and we're beginning to stock up our distribution channel with this. So be on the lookout if you have a need for something like this. This is something that we're providing to our channel. Now let's just talk about the project rebate program. For those that actually have an order of 50 or more of our target Fanvil devices, we actually have an outline here whereby any of the resellers or our distributors out there, you can go ahead and actually register your project here. And if you order 50 or more, this means you could have 40 phones and 10 intercom devices. When you add them up, if they actually fit this target scene here, devices, you will actually begin getting discounts and all up to 1 to 3% off based on the quantities that you'll go through, and we can go in through March 2023. Beyond that program, we also want to tell you about some of the contacts and tools. Everybody wants to find out where the documentation, data sheet, and firmware. I want to provide this as a toolbox for you so that you can have a quick reference. In addition to that, we also have local SE support. You could do it for support at Fanvil, or be able to communicate to our SE contact directly, or you can contact me as well. Here's my contact information. You can just reach out to me directly in case you have any questions. And then the last but not least, if you want a soft copy of this thing, reach out to Julie. I'll give her a soft copy of this presentation, so she'll send it to you. And then we have the test drive. This is my last slide of the program where you can go ahead and take a look. We've coupled not only our intercom and indoor products, but a couple of our V-Series phones as well as our XU. using both one high end and one low end on our V66 series or our XU series, giving you really a really highly discounted application that's valid through the early part of 2023, giving you a one-time capability of buying it so that you can go ahead and test drive it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Julie on this test drive program, and she'll be more than happy to work with you to get this thing through. And that's kind of it of all I have. I want to thank you very much for your time. Julie, I'll pass the floor right back to you.
Thank you so much, Tommy, for that wonderful presentation. And I do have some questions for you. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one. Let's see, regarding minimum orders for your customizable or custom colors on your phones, what would be a minimum order for something like that?
Yeah, if you wanted to order or do a rebrand, it's actually 200 units per model. So I'll give you an example. Let me see if I could sort of shift through on some of these units back here. Hang on just a second to see if I could sift through. Oops, sorry about that. Let me see. Yeah, on some of these models that I have, let's see. Like say, for example, in all of these XU products here, these products here will end up, so you would have to have 200 units of each one of these models. So if you wanted to customize an X4U, if you decided to do that, what we can do is we can actually customize 200 models of that. If you want to have two phones, that means the total unit would be like 200 of each model. So, because when we build it, we have to go ahead and build, and the minimum quantity for building these custom labels is 200. And we do that basically free of charge to our partners out there. And that, there's also a neutral version of all of these. We have the standard, which is the Fanvil brand, but if you want to have a custom model, give me a call and I'll be more than happy to do a deeper dive with this, because not only do we have the Fanvil standard phones, but we also have neutral phones, which gives you the capability of getting a generically branded phone that you can go ahead and put your plate on it so that it'll see your logo. So it's 200 per model and not necessarily 200 total amongst 2 or 3 different models. It's actually 200 per model. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, Tommy, thank you. It certainly does. Appreciate that. Next question here for you. Regarding the 2-year warranty, would that warranty begin at the time of purchase or at the time of manufacturing?
Oh, no, that's a great question. But it's a very easy one, which we differentiate because it happens from the time one of our partners buy from our distribution channel. So if ABC company integrator wants to buy from Microcom, it starts at the day in which they actually get the actual product. So that's when it starts. So it is not a pseudo 2-year. It actually starts from the time the phone lands on their lap, and that's when it begins.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Regarding your phones and everything that you manufacture, can you remind us where you manufacture your products?
Sure. In fact, it's not only us, but about 99% of all phones get manufactured in China. So we have about 2 different factories in China that is capable of manufacturing these phones. One of the things that we're also very careful about beyond manufacturing is that we also realize that there are rules and regulations on being able to provide these phones into local government agencies, and we're very well aware of that. And even though China is the manufacturing, we also provide and adhere to all the rules that makes us compliant, so that there are certain manufacturers that we don't incorporate into our phones so that they're compliant with local government requirements, in case that's your concern.
Thank you very much. And if I'm not mistaken, at this point in time, most phones that are manufactured there, like you say in China, and that are shipped to the U.S., I believe is the shipping and the delivery. There's been no issues lately, like the there's like the problems that we recently had have gone away, would you say?
Yes, it's gotten a lot better because not only is the shipments, which is something our partners shouldn't have to worry about, because many of our local distributors here in the States have begun stocking up many of the phones that you see here. So inventory should not be an issue at all. So I wouldn't worry about the partners being worried about that. Our distributors do, but not necessarily our partners out there, because we try to go way out of our way to stock up locally as much as possible, anticipating what our partners are going to buy. But yeah, in general, a lot of the boat transportations have greatly eased. Before, it was a lot worse during the pandemic, but I think nowadays things are sort of easing up. We're not necessarily back to where we were 2+ years ago, but I think it has really eased up. And during the easing up process, many of our close strategic partners, distributors, have stocked up on these things so that it shouldn't be a worry for many of the projects that are open out there today.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, we're happy that the supply chain seems to be moving along better than it had been. Right, you know, that problem that everyone was having.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Tommy. And you know, you showed us on one of your slides all that contact information.
Oh yeah.
If anyone were to go to your main website or whatever website you would recommend, because you got a couple of them, including your email. Yes, could one find tech support, customer service, and that sort of thing, and maybe even obviously detailed information about the product that they're purchasing? What can you tell us about that?
Well, yeah, many of the different references that I have here really can be gotten from our main website. Is that very often I hear, okay, where did you put your firmware tools? Some vendors require a, sort of a password to kind of get into the firmware. So no, we tend to go ahead and follow along the thread. I just kind of wanted to give it to you up front. Usually under the one support page, not only will you find documentation, data sheets, and firmware, but we also try to put out of the box videos and some of the quick information guides under our support tab from our main sheet. So as you follow through, we try to provide as much resources out there for people that are breaking into a new product or exploring a new brand. But beyond that, we also have live people that if you're out in the field with a last minute support, we try to actually make these resources available to our partners as much as possible. Then of course, they're all locally based here and really have that level of access to all of our things. And one of the things I always advise is, when you get our products, just like if you would buy a brand new PC, just upload the firmware to make sure that the product is operating under the latest firmware version. And you'll find that typically if you run into a couple of glitches, updating to the latest revision typically addresses most of the bugs that people see up front.
Thank you so much, Tommy. Last question here for you. If somebody is new to Fanvil and are, enthusiastic about, trying some of your products, generally speaking, can you talk to us about perhaps why we would want Fanvil products as opposed to your competitors?
Yeah, I mean, not only is it the warranties, but as we're speaking here, it's great to be able to have a live exchange. Don't get me wrong. I've had college students call me up because they have certain projects they want to run. Great. But very often, I think when you have live contact here in the States, you can contact myself and we can always arrange a session, because every person, whether they're in the beginning, has a different challenge. Some are doing a transportation from one brand to another, or some are just have a general idea like what is it about SIP and what are these things? And quite frankly, I'm more than happy to not only just evangelize our solutions, but the overall technology is something that I can go ahead and get into. And just give me a call and I'll be more than happy to kind of set aside some time that allows you to go from what was once a proprietary interface and getting into SIP. And I'll tell you the reasons why SIP is sort of the fastest growing protocol that's out there, which all of our devices support. And that way, it gives you sort of the tools necessary that you need to do to sort of address the technical challenges for your business. So given that wide variety, yeah, just give me a call. I'll be more than happy to kind of go through the tier because each individual has a very unique situation.
Tommy, thank you so very much for answering all those questions for us today. And also, thank you to everyone attending today's webinar. And if you have any further questions, like Tommy said, his contact information is there. And of course, I could relay his contact information. Or please feel free to contact your sales rep here at Microcom at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to review any of the products mentioned or shown today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can review it again. Tommy, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, we look forward to Fanvil's next webinar.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye.